In this video, we'll be going over IRS Notice CP44, which is a tax notice that you might receive from the Internal Revenue Service in the case you have a tax refund that's due to you, but the IRS is experiencing a delay in processing your refund. So before we get into what that means, let's take a look at the top of the form, starting with the right-hand corner. So in the right-hand corner, you'll see the notice number, which is CP44, the notice date. In this case, it's October 10th, 2013, and this is for the tax year ending December 31st, 2012. And based on the form number, it's for an individual income tax return. On the left-hand side, you'll see the Department of Treasury, the IRS office where this came from, and then your name and address information here. So I want to point out a couple of things. One, it's always a good best practice to keep note of the notice date. Not in this case, but in other cases, if you receive IRS correspondence requesting that you take a particular action on something, they might tie that action timeline to the notice date. For example, if they say, please pay this outstanding tax balance within 21 days, they're talking about 21 days from the notice date. In this case, there's no action to take, so that's not as pertinent, but it's still something that you should probably keep in mind. The left-hand side, you'll see the address. You'll want to make sure that that's up to date. If you relocate, generally speaking, the IRS will update your tax record with your new address when you file your next tax return. But if you're expecting additional correspondence, if you recently relocated, then you can still update your tax record with your IRS or with your address, either by calling the IRS and going through their validation process, their phone tree, and changing your address over the phone, or you can file the official change of address form. For individual taxpayers, it's IRS Form 8822. For business owners, that's IRS Form 8822-B. And you'll want to make sure that your address is up to date, because if there are action items tied to a notice date and it takes an extra 5 to 7 days for your notice to get to you, then that's less time that you'll have to take the appropriate action. So in this case, this notice is pretty straightforward. It says that there's a delay in processing your refund of blank amount of dollars because the IRS needs to make sure that you don't owe other federal taxes. So if you owe other taxes, then part or all of your refund may be applied to back taxes. You don't need to do anything at this point, but within 6 to 8 weeks, the IRS will either issue you a refund with interest is applicable, or they will send you an additional notice to let you know that they applied your refund towards federal taxes that you owe from a prior tax year. And that's basically it for this notice. I'm going to take a quick look at the website, the IRS page. So there's a little bit of information, but basically you don't need to do anything. Wait at least 6 to 8 weeks from the notice date before you call the IRS. And some frequently asked questions. So your refund is available to apply to an outstanding non-individual liability. How long does it take? About 6 to 8 weeks. And then the remaining amount is usually refunded with interest. Generally speaking, this doesn't happen every time someone gets a notice. It probably happens because the IRS flagged your return, or more pertinently, the tax record associated with your return as having a tax balance that was past due at some point in the past. So either they're still reconciling that to make sure that they've calculated the appropriate amount of penalties and interest, or they're doing a manual review to evaluate whether or not that was previously cleared. Like if you had a payment that was being processed, things of that nature. So this probably doesn't occur very often, but the fact that there is a notice out here indicates that that's probably the case. Otherwise, we'd get millions of these notices every year, and most people never get one. So I think this is really for people whose records have been flagged in the past, either with intention or for some reason, maybe erroneously. So, if you do have this notice, you could probably take a look at your tax record to see, what, if anything, you might have owed taxes for. So you can pull up your tax transcript. You can request your tax transcript on IRS form 4506-T. You can also call the IRS and just go through this with them over the phone to get an estimate of whether or not you have anything in your profile. So again, if you do end up with a refund, this is already kind of indicated that they're going to apply interest, because that interest accrues from the time that the IRS withholds your refund after the tax return due date. So if you receive this notice because you filed your return in like February and you received it in March, which probably would not happen, then you wouldn't accrue interest until after the April 15th deadline. But if you received this in like June and they're still trying to figure out your tax record, then you would be entitled to interest on any of the refund that was not applied to your taxes but was withheld from the April 15th deadline until the payment date. So just keep that in mind. And again, you can always call the IRS to get more clarification or a better understanding of your tax situation. So we'll post links in the show notes to articles and videos that might be pertinent to you. If you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, or if there's another topic that you'd like to see in an upcoming video, please hit me up in the comment section. Thank you very much and have a great day.